As a scaling video editor, you are going to be dealing with multiple projects at the same time. And the difference between the editors who burn out versus the ones that can actually deal with the pressure is exactly what we're going to share in this video. My name's Sayeef. I've edited for some of the largest YouTubers in the world. And in this video, I'm going to share with you the real battle-tested tactics to dealing with multiple editing projects at the same time. So when you're dealing with multiple projects, there's two philosophies that you can really follow. Philosophy number one is one at a time. And philosophy number two is where you work with them in parallel. Now, there's pros and cons to both. The pros and cons of one at a time, let's walk through them. The pros are we can leverage something called compartmentalization in the brain. Compartmentalization is where your brain can sort of naturally put certain thoughts into its working memory, its working bucket. It's sort of like if you've got 10 different tabs open, your computer's going to run slightly slower than if you just have one tab and all its resources is going into that one tab. In the same way, when you have only one editing project that's taking up your brain's RAM, your brain will naturally have better ideas for that video because it's all you're thinking about. For example, a lot of people don't believe this, but some of my best edits and best animations, I actually had the ideas, not while I was editing, but when I was sleeping, where I would finish off the day of working, I'd go to bed, and literally in my dreams, I'm almost imagining myself editing. And I'd be coming up with these crazy ideas, and either one of two things would happen. I'd literally get up, quickly just sketch it out and note it down for tomorrow morning, or I would get up and literally go edit and create that scene. Some of my best work on my portfolio, the scenes came in my dream first, and then I created it. And that happened because these ideas could incubate, like literally just stay in my mind and subconsciously process while I wasn't editing. So that's one of the pros of editing videos one at a time. But some of the cons is if you don't manage your time properly, you can end up messing up the deadline for the next video completely. For example, let's say you know today is Monday, you have two editing projects due on Thursday. You're like, hey, should I do this one? Should I do this one? You might expect to spend this long on project one and this long on project two, but God forbid project one ends up taking this long. Now you're kind of in a sticky situation where project two kind of doesn't have any time to be done and it's gonna go past the deadline, which you don't want. Now, parallel editing does have its pros and cons as well. This is where you essentially kind of edit both projects at the same time. So instead of going, hey, here's one project, here's the second project, instead you kind of say, hey, I'm working a bit on this, oh, working a bit on this one now, working a bit on this one, hey, working a bit on this one, etc. until both are done. Now, the pros of this is you can actually manage your time a lot better. The reason being, in human psychology, there's something called planning fallacy. So planning fallacy is where humans just generally are very bad at predicting how long something will take. For example, if right now I ask you like, how long would it take you to go to the shops and buy a water bottle? You might guess 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, however long, but you've probably had times where you assume something would take a certain amount of time and it just took wildly more or wildly less amount of time in reality. For example, you expect a video to take 2 days, you start working on it and 2 days in, you're like, holy shit, there's zero chance I could do this in 2 days. It'd actually take 7 days. So humans are generally very bad at planning things. However, one of the ways to get around this is by actually splitting up the task. So you might not be able to guess how long an entire video would take. However, you might be better at guessing how long the download might take. So based on your internet speed and the size of the files, it's going to take this many minutes. And then you can guess, okay, in order to assemble the project, so based on the amount of POVs it has and the mics, hey, it'll probably take me 30 minutes to assemble the whole thing and sync it up. Now, the cut, I can guess, it's probably going to take about an hour based on XYZ. Now, if we add up all of the different stages, so the guesses that you made, you'll find this is a lot more of an accurate guess than if you try to just guess how long the whole video would take. So by editing in parallel, so kind of working on a little bit and working on a little bit on the other one, this actually ends up working a lot better because as we continue editing the project, we gain more context on how long the video is going to take. Like you might initially, when you're looking at a video, think it's going to take you 7 days, but after a day of just ingesting the footage and cutting it up, you're like, wait, I could probably get this done in 3 days. And now you might have the other project that you thought would take 2 days, but while you start on it, you're like, holy crap, this is a lot more work than I expected. It's actually going to take 4 days. But by us working on a bit of the video at first for both of them, we find out on day 1 and 2 that, hey, this is going to be long and we can plan accordingly. I'd rather find out on Wednesday that this video is going to take a lot longer than expected, rather than Thursday, the video is going to take a lot longer than expected and I have 1 more day left. So by working in parallel, we can find out issues with the footage earlier in the process than we would have if we worked on videos one at a time. But the cons of working in this parallel workflow is you can get distracted a lot easier. And it's very easy where when you come up to a hard part of the edit to just task switch and start editing a different video, which feels a lot easier to do. And as soon as this video gets hard, you end up switching back and you just end up doing this back and forth, task switching, losing your focus, which is a lot less efficient than just working on something for an extended period of time. In fact, psychologists have actually done the research on this. Task switching is the #1 killer of productivity. For example, let's say I told you you have 2 hours to finish this cut of the video, and you know you could probably get it done in, honestly, like an hour and a half, maybe even 1. You still wouldn't be able to get it done if every 10 minutes you checked your phone. Even if it was for 5-10 seconds at a time, you task switching every 10 seconds makes you lose that momentum, lose that flow that you would have had if you just worked in an uninterrupted block. And this is the core concept of deep work and the tactic that so many productive editors use. So the con of parallel workflows is you can oftentimes lose that, and you need to have the discipline when you're working this parallel workflow to actually use the workflow intentionally to actually leverage this like anti-planning fallacy. And you need to actually have the discipline to use this parallel workflow in the way that it's intended, which is, hey, we're just trying to get more context on how long the video is going to take, rather than a distraction tactic where you just use it as a way to cope and procrastinate. Now, I wish I could tell you like, hey, you need to go one at a time, or you need to go with this parallel workflow. I wish I could tell you, but truthfully, after coaching hundreds and hundreds of editors inside the editing layer, which is our coaching program, I've seen a pretty even split on editors who do well with the one at a time workflow and people who do the parallel workflow. So I could pull statistics out my ass and tell you like, hey, you should do the parallel workflow because it's this much. I've seen editors work well in both. What I recommend is spend a period of your career, maybe a month, 2 months, 3 months, trying out the one at a time workflow. And if you feel like that's not working, for the next few months, try out the parallel workflow. What you don't want to do is operate based on emotion, where you tell yourself, I'm going to work on one project at a time, and as soon as something gets difficult, you switch project. That's operating on emotion. What we want to do is taking a more data-driven and more actual tactical approach, which is let's test doing one at a time, and then after we test doing parallel, and then we see which one we like better. For example, for me personally, I used to be really good with the one at a time workflow, especially as I was working on smaller projects. For example, I had a client, they were tens of millions of subscribers. It was a 6 to 10 videos per week client. They only expected me to do 2, but I was an efficiency freak, so I wanted to do 10, and I got paid accordingly. But because these were small videos and I optimized my workflow end to end, I actually found the one at a time to work much, much better. But as I was working on more bigger projects where naturally there'd be more chaos, like, hey, this thing is bugged and it takes me a whole day to fix it, or hey, the cut took longer than expected. When I'm working on these bigger videos for 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, I'm charged more than 2,000 a video, to be honest. But as I'm working on bigger videos in the 1 to 2K per video range, I found personally, I prefer the parallel workflow. But this comes down to your personal testing. But no matter which tactic you use, this psychological hack with how you deal with the client is going to crush for you, no matter which one works better for you. Whether you're doing the projects one at a time and that's how you're managing the multiple projects, or if you're doing them in parallel, this tactic crushes. It's called staggering deadlines. So let's say you're speaking to client A, you close him, well done, and you say that, hey, the video is going to be done by Friday. If you then close client B and you say, hey, the video I think can take 3 days, so it'll be done by Friday, you're basically cooking yourself in a few days from now, because when Thursday comes around, things probably aren't done because shit always goes wrong, and now you've left yourself with 1 day to fix the mess. instead of saying, hey, both client A and B are going to be done now, we take one of the deadlines and we just push it down later. Or what I actually recommend for the guys we coach, and I recommend you do this as well, take one of the deadlines and actually move it earlier. Now this sounds scary, but the reason this works is because by you moving it earlier, oftentimes you will actually get faster due to something called Parkinson's law. Parkinson's law is this idea that work will expand to fill the time that we've given it. For example, think back to when you were in school. If you had 6 months to do a project, you're going to take 6 months to finish the project. More realistically, you're going to leave it till the last month and you're going to finish it in a month. Maybe even leaving it till the last 3 days, but you'll finish it in 3 days. Now, what's interesting is that means it only takes 3 days for you to finish the project. But the fact that you were given 6 months meant that it took 6 months. In the same way, let's say you're given 7 days to edit a project. A lot of editors think that their projects take 5, 6, 7 days. But if they only had 1 to 2 days, they would actually get it done in 1 to 2 days. And how do we know this? Because oftentimes, even when they have a 7-day deadline, they end up doing it in the last 2 days anyways. So if instead of saying, hey, on Monday, we set it for Sunday and we're realistically going to do it on Thursday and finish it in the last 2 days, instead, why don't we just move the deadline to a Wednesday, and Parkinson's law, that feeling that, hey, I should probably move my ass, kicks in on Monday, and now we're productive for both these 2 days rather than wasting 4 days out of the valuable 30 days that we have in the month. So we stagger the deadlines in order to actually, first of all, get faster, but more importantly, it means that let's say something goes wrong during this time, like we're working in parallel on the videos, and it's sort of like, hey, I thought client A was going to be done by like this much time. I thought that's how long client A would take. But now that I've just started working on it a little bit, I'm like, fuck, wait, I actually will need the whole like 7 days or whatever to edit this. I didn't expect that. That means client B, I'm going to have to organize my time better. And that means client A, I might actually have to start here rather than starting from here, because if I start from here, it's going to be way too stressful. What's interesting is oftentimes you don't actually need more time to get the video done, or it's not a lack of time that makes you stress about a project. It's the fact that you realize too late that you needed more time. Like for example, if I told you, hey, 3 days into the project, you're going to find a bug with the footage where you need to actually ask the client again for all the footage. If I told you on day 1, you're not an idiot. You wouldn't wait 3 days later to find the bug. You're going to fix it on day 1. So by us working just a little bit on all the projects that we have, any problems that arise early in the workflow, which usually most of the problems happen early in the project, those we can just sort out, understand from earlier. Those problems can incubate in our mind, meaning they sort of sit there, we're subconsciously processing those problems. And that means by the time we actually are working on this in full force, we've already sort of found a solution and we can hit that deadline perfectly. And now this next tip to actually handling multiple editing projects, this is one where you're an editor watching me, you can listen to this, just don't let your clients hear this. There are going to be times where you need to prioritize one of your clients, and this is completely normal. I need you to be able to confidently know which client you're going to prioritize if it comes down to it. And the ugly truth is you're going to prioritize the one that's giving you more consistent work and just overall paying you more, specifically throughout the month. The reason I specify throughout the month is I've seen editors make the mistake of they've got 2 clients, let's say client A, client B. Client A is paying, let's say, 900 a video. Client B is paying, let's say, 1.5k per video, and they're going to think, oh, I should prioritize the 1.5k per video guy. But what they don't consider is this guy sends a video once every 3 months, and sometimes it's every 6 months, and it's just a mess. But this guy sends a video once a week, and it's consistent. The silliest thing you could do is prioritize this guy. In my situation, if I had this, I would prioritize this, and if I followed the staggering deadlines, I'm still going to meet this guy's deadline, but there's just like a 1% chance or like a 1 to 10% chance that I missed the deadline. And in that case, at least I've risked the person that is just objectively a worse client. And this isn't like politically correct for me to say, but truthfully in these videos, I care about you making more money as an editor because you are a fellow editor of mine. Just don't let your clients see this. So that's my secret to managing multiple editing projects, especially at the same time. And if you want to get my entire workflow A to Z, go watch this video here. I walk through the actual workflow that I use for every editing client. And I also train my editors on it too. So go watch that video here.